to beat. Our good friend Hampton Pearson is standing by at the Labor Department. And Hampton, the numbers, sir.
164,000. April non-farm payrolls increased by 164,000 jobs. The unemployment rate is 3.9%. Average hourly earnings increased just 0.1%. Year over year, 2.6% gain in average hourly earnings. April private sector job growth adding 168,000 new hires. Net revisions for February and March, a net increase of 30,000. That 3.9% unemployment rate is the lowest since December of 2000. The U6, the so-called real unemployment rate, 7.8%, the lowest since December of 2001. Another key demographic that folks will pay attention to, the black unemployment rate, 6.6%. The Labor Department says that's the lowest since they began tracking that particular piece of data back in 1972. Job gains during the month of April, professional and business services up 54,000, manufacturing up 24,000, healthcare adding 24,000 new jobs as well. That 3.9% unemployment rate was aided in part by a net shrinkage overall in the labor force to 236,000. The labor force participation rate, 62.8%. By the way, the job losses, just a couple categories. Wholesale trade down by just under 10,000. Government employment down by 4,000, mostly at the state and local level. Looking overall at the stats for the last 3 months, even with the lower headline number, average job gains for the last 3 months, 208,000 per month. Back to you guys.
Okay, thank you for that, Hampton. Let's get back to our panel for reaction to these numbers. Guys, we were watching the futures as this moved. I know those are the algos probably moving literally just, but we were looking like we were in the red. It's moved now into the green. Your initial take.
Initial take, good report. I can't see the details, but you know, good report in the sense that you're a little bit disappointed on the headline number, but the wage number didn't accelerate, and you got the tick down in unemployment rate, which is really the longer-term story that this labor market is very strong and potentially overheating, but you're not seeing it in the wages yet. So I think the market likes that. Mr.
Leisman, what are you thinking this morning?
You know, first of all, good morning to everybody there and to our whole panel. I think this is a modest number, and what I like about this is I like the jobs number getting more towards where you're into a sustainable rate. 135, 168, of course, Hampton gave us the 3-month average, still being over 200 with that big pop in February. But when I look at the number here, first of all, you got the lower unemployment with people leaving the workforce. There's a lot of push me, pull you in here. You have the unemployment rate declining, but wage growth is very modest. I like the idea that we're coming down to this level in the 150s or the 160s. Those are good numbers for this economy, given demographic growth here. And I also like the distribution of this. It's modest across the board. Construction up 17, manufacturing 24. Those are good numbers. And then information 7, professional business services 54. It's pretty widespread without any big area particularly pushing it. So these are good numbers. I don't think they change the whole trajectory of the Fed here. I think it's almost certainly 2, and we're going to think about 3 by the end of the year. I think that's the story at the Federal Reserve, and I think that this number here keeps that idea on track.
Okay. Tom Lee is standing right next to me, or sitting right next to me, I should say.
I think this is a good report. You know, I think investors that we talked to have been worried about inflation, and they've been sitting on the sidelines. I think this really gives them some comfort, and I think it sort of helps risk on.
What's going on in Chicago? What's the view in Chicago?
This seems like a pretty weak
we got 2 in Chicago. Rick, we got Rick and
my own personal view is, if I look at the economy, I would be disappointed on every front. I think it's jobs light. I think the unemployment rate's exaggerated to the downside. I think U6 is much more accurate. I think on the wages, not only were they soft, but we took away 1/10 on the monthly number, and we took away on year over year 1/10 down to 2.6. So from an economic standpoint, I think they should be better. Now, from a market standpoint, I'll tell you a couple things that are most likely going to happen. You're going to see a little bit of the short end start to drip away, because if you really take a step back, I don't know that there's any type of need for a hurry-up Federal Reserve. The 2.9 a couple of months ago and the unemployment year over year on the wages was an anomaly. There's nothing really going on there that I can see. And from the equity standpoint, I probably think they ought to rethink it. I think hotter is now better in every sense of the word. I don't believe in those reverse dynamics of the past, what's good or bad for stocks with regard to the Fed and the economy. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the entire curve, besides the short end, start to drip away.
Right.
As a matter of fact, if you look before the number, 5-year note yields started to dip into the low 270s. They were at 281, 282. So that's it. Rates are going to start to retrench a bit. The European rates have been telling us that for a while. I don't think rates generically, globally, can go in different directions. European rates, everything started to turn down, and it's contagious.
Okay, what about Romina?
Overall, I think what we're seeing is that the economy continues to grow strongly, but I do have some concerns about the labor numbers. I expected more job growth, and I worry that perhaps we're seeing a mismatch, perhaps geographically and also skills-wise, because we know that so many businesses are interested in hiring, and yet they're having trouble finding qualified workers. So we have to ask, what is it going to take to take up some of that slack and allow these numbers to be even stronger and get some of the U6 discouraged workers into the unemployment lines and then back to work. I think there's still a lot of opportunity for more growth. Businesses will continue to make investments, building on tax reform, and with the deregulation that continues to happen under the Trump administration. So good prospects, but there's stuff on the state and local level, potentially when it comes to housing, allowing workers to move to those regions where there's a strong job growth that still needs to be fixed to see even better results.
Austin, you were